Mike Smith getting all from West Coast as he clings to the lead from Gunnabara. IRAP is third at the inside. Cameron is fourth and is West Coast, and he keeps on rolling. And West Coast goes wire to wire. It's Les Travers.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. And Woodbine Racetrack, pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning, live from the Saratoga backstretch. Looks like a nice morning, a little humid, but the sun is out. We'll keep our fingers crossed as there is a prediction of what else is new, maybe some showers that will blow through at some point, but it seemed like a hit or miss kind of thing without being able to predict where in the area those might hit. So as I say, we'll keep our fingers crossed that things hold together up here today. Currently, beautiful day here on the backstretch at Saratoga. Coming up a little later on this Wednesday edition of Racing Across America, our weekly visit from Teresa Gennaro. She'll have the calendar of events coming up over the next 6 or 7 days. Pat Cummings, who is now heading the Thoroughbred Idea Foundation over from a few years with the Hong Kong Jockey Club, and saw Pat in the grandstand the other day, and he is raring to go with the new TIF, the Thoroughbred Idea Foundation. We'll hear all about that. Our friend Penelope Miller from America's Best Racing, also in the house. She will join us in just a few, but we're going to kick things off here at the top of the program with our friend Tom Law from the Saratoga Special. Typically, we'll have Sean or Joe Clancy in on a Wednesday, but also typically there's a steeplechase race. There isn't, so I thought, well, let's get Tom in, and we can talk a little sale from last night and much, much more. Tom, good morning.
Good morning. Good to be here. I can talk a little steeplechasing, too. They had me on.
I'm sure you can. I saw that. I'm sure you could. But we have 2 weeks off, right? They come back in two.
Yeah,
I think
you're
it
correct,
is.
yes.
Yeah, for the jumpers. I think they're running down at Monmouth in the interim. I think they have some races down there, so they're still jumping. Just a little break up here at Saratoga, and again, great coverage on the jump racing in the Saratoga Special. Great coverage overall as well. Wanted to talk to you a little bit, and I think we have some shots from the couple of nights at the Facing Tipton sale, and you guys typically don't publish on Mondays, but with the sales week, at a Monday edition and Tuesday, Wednesday edition as well, kind of recapping the sales. And I'll just ask you, overall, I think they had to be thrilled. It was 2 big nights.
Absolutely. I mean, they had a record gross total last night, a little bit more than $62 million. I mean, they just barely edged the previous record, which was back in 2001. Actually, can say that I was actually at the 2001 sale. Seems strange to be there, but the sale itself, to me, very, very strong, like in that middle range. I mean, they didn't quite get the record average. They were close, but horses that sold between 250 to 500,000 were just strong. It seemed like almost every horse was going through the ring. You were there last night.
Yeah.
Just 400 to 500. You look at the board and be like, wow, like that's really, really good. I mean, some years when it's a little bit down, that's more of a high point. But versus last night, that just fell right in there in the average. And they had a record median, so at 300,000, that fell right in the middle. So very, very strong. The buzz before the sale was that it was the best group of horses that they've ever had. A lot of times you hear that every year, it seems like. But I think they did a really, really good job. That came from both the Facing Tipton people thought they had the best group. But also, I talked to a lot of buyers before the sale, and they said kind of the same thing. They're like, I know Michael Wallace from the China Horse Club fairly well, and he's a very, sharp guy. And he was like, it's the best group of horses I've seen in the 6 years I've been coming here. So, and it's gradually gone up in those 6 years. So, it's a fair assessment, and it proved it in the ring for sure.
Yeah, as you said, there was a nice buzz over the couple of nights, and I was there both nights, and it was one of those where just anecdotally, as you're kind of standing out in the backyard or circling through the building, you had the feeling like every horse seemed to be like, wow, this is going to wind up to be okay. And then at the end of last night, when they put up the totals, they were very happy. Also, some 7 figures. Those are always fun. Opening night, hit number 26 drew 1.2 million. But Bob Baffert jumped in for $1 million as well for a New York bred.
Yeah, New York bred, half brother to Upstart, and of course a very familiar horse for those of us on this circuit, but nationally known horse too. Won the Razorback down at Oaklawn and graded stakes winner. You know, Joanne Nielsen, who bred the horse, just a great New York breeder, like real, you know, tried and true New York breeder for decades. You know, great to see her have great success. And Summerfield, Francis and Barbara Van Langendonk, who sold the horse, have been associated with her for decades. First $1 million horse and most expensive horse that they sold up here at Saratoga. So that's kind of really cool.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, the 2 American Pharaohs the first night, and then of course the second night you had 3 Medaglia d'Oros that also brought $1 million. So it was kind of interesting. I've never seen that happen where it's the same sire had the toppers one night, same sire had the toppers the next night. But 5 7-figure horses versus 2 last year.
Yeah,
so.
and certainly American Pharaoh came in with a lot of buzz as the first year. His Triple Crown winner, always fun, and Baffert jumping in for 7 figures on Monday night. And then last night, I do want to mention our friends at West Point Thoroughbreds had the sales topper, 196, 1.35 million. And I talked to Terry Finley from West Point a little bit later on, and he said it was kind of like a last minute thing almost. He said he was on the phone with some of his guys, and I really like this horse, and so he wound up West Point gets the sales topper last night along with Rob Masiello, Chris Larson, and Sienna Farm, so that was fun for them.
Yeah, that's a big reach for them.
Yeah,
when I saw them bidding, I saw the Coolmore guys were around, Baffert was still around. I know the Godolphin guys were right in it fairly late. I don't think they were the immediate underbidder, and then I looked over and I saw that Terry and Rob Masiello were kind of bidding as well, and I was, man, they're reaching.
Yeah.
But a lot of those guys were associated with Always Dreaming. Sienna Farm, of course, and Rob and Chris were involved in that as well. So they got the fever, obviously, and they really liked that horse. That was a strong move for them, and like you said, it went on to ended up being the sales topper by just a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm just looking. There's certainly a lot of black type on the page, and they really liked the looks of the horse. There were some quotes afterwards. As I say, I talked to Terry, and he liked the horse a lot. Rob was quoted subsequently as saying, that it just was a horse that really attracted us, and so they jumped in for a very nice price. I will also say, this kills me when I see this kind of thing. One of the articles I read, there was an $800,000 buyback. Man, you have to have nerves of steel.
Yeah. Sheila Rosenblum, who bred the filly out of La Verdad, was La Verdad's, of course, champion.
Yeah.
It's her first foal. I think Sheila probably could be a little bit bullish. I mean, she's not afraid to race the horses herself.
That's a good point. You can always, if I'm not getting my price, I'll take the horse.
Right, and she doesn't have a huge breeding operation. Obviously, breeding to sell to the market is not necessarily her business, versus maybe some of the other large-scale consigners or even commercial breeders. And, she's very enthusiastic about racing. I figured that horse would have a high reserve, but there were 2 pretty big buybacks that first night, which was kind of surprising, but you see those every now and again, and of course, sometimes people would buy. Some of the horses are bought as weanlings that they're trying to resell for a profit too. And a lot of times, guys will say, "If I'm not going to get what I want, then maybe I can't let them go." I mean, the one horse that was a $500,000 weanling that was the topper the first night, the American Pharaoh. They invested $500 as the horse as a weanling. So, you got to get a good dollar amount to turn that profit and to let it go.
Yeah. Biggest gamblers in the game, I always say, are a block and a half away from the track.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's amazing. I was sitting over there, and it's amazing to think about all the wealth in the world and how much money there is in the world. And that's just a small part of it, really. But all the major players were there, and that's what the sales company likes. It's Bob Baffert was there until the very end. I kept thinking
he was there literally until the end. It wasn't
sure
until the last gavel went down I saw him walk out.
And a lot of those guys that are serious players, they're like that. A lot of times people think that they get their horse that they want and then they get out of there. But the guys, you never know. One might slip through. And Baffert's done really well with horses that have slipped through. Some of his greatest successes are smaller time horses, but not this. This isn't really the market to get a smaller time horse.
And Baffert was walking around the backyard. The backyard last night, very crowded as it was Monday night as well. And you mentioned being back at the sale in the early 2000s. I go back much further than that even.
Yeah, so do I. Actually.
Yeah, and so you remember it's a whole new experience over there on Monday and Tuesday night, which is fun. There's a lot of the public shows up. Certainly the redo of the facility has helped that, has made the backyard a much nicer venue to just kind of come and enjoy the couple of nights. But I think that adds to the buzz of the whole auction.
Absolutely. People, onlookers, tourists, I always call them, the tourists are coming out, But it's great fun for people. I think they get to see a part of the business that they don't normally get to see. They get to see the people in the paddock at the track and stuff, but you don't really have that direct access. There's no fence around the buyers, and there's no really fence around the horses. You're right there at the walking ring. Fasig-Tipton has done an amazing job creating sort of the festive atmosphere, high-end kind of experience. They got the bar is packed. There's great food. People can chill out, and then there's sort of like there's the both sides. You can go into the sales pavilion and see the action right up close.
In the piano bar.
I know. That's great. There's some great stories about that.
The auction facility.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift attention because I wanted to go back to the weekend a little bit. I know you wrote about it in the special. And again, the Saratoga special, highly recommended. You can pull it up. You can find it on track and locations around the city as well. And you can pull it up on the website. This is horseracing.com. Nice archive of all the editions that have come out so far this season. But you wrote about a race that, with the Whitney this weekend, we talked a lot about that Sunday and Monday. Didn't give as much concentration to the test, which I know is a race you concentrated a little bit on in the special. So I wanted to show the replay of that, the stretch run. Our monitor isn't working right now, but trust me, we're taking a look at the replay here. Number 6, Separation of Powers, over number 7, Mia Mischief. I like Mia Mischief. A ding-dong battle where I thought Mia Mischief had gotten the better of Separation of Powers, but she came back on, and it was a really nice second start back for Separation of Powers after a promising 2-year-old season.
Yeah, just as good a horse race as you could possibly want to see. I mean, just a great stretch run, and like you said, I thought Mia Mischief had put her away, which was very game on her part to be, up prompting the pace like that she did. Separation of Powers kind of ranges up, and you think, all right, well, this is her second race off the layoff. Maybe she'd flatten out a little bit. And then she did find a little bit more right there at the end. And I mean, just another grade 1 win for her. And, I wrote about it in the paper. For those that have already read the article, I apologize, but it's kind of an interesting story. After her 2-year-old year, she had a little bit of a chip that they needed surgery. They took it out and took her down to Nick Demerrick's farm. Speaking of the sales, Nick Demerrick's a long time yearling to 2-year-old pinhooker, very successful horseman, very astute, sharp guy. He and his son Tristan, who picked the horse out for Klaravich, rehabbed her down there at the farm, got her trained, got her ready to go, sent her up to Chad, kind of ready-made, ready to go, just like they did when she was a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
She had some trouble in that first start.
Victory ride.
Yeah, otherwise she probably, might be 2 for 2 this year. But Nick, it was great to catch up to Nick after. I like to say that these are the kind of stories that we do at the special. I saw Nick Demerrick down there. I thought, I'm going to talk to him versus, I'll talk to Chad as well. But, our readers and everybody's readers, they hear from Chad and the Klaravich guys all the time. Maybe get a little bit different voice in the paper and in the story. And Nick was great. He was very excited and He even called me the next day how excited he was still. So.
And that's one of the things I highly recommend about the Saratoga Special. You guys, I go down to the winner's circle after a lot of the stakes races, and obviously the guys who are in the print media or the television media putting out things later that day or the next morning that have that deadline, they're looking for the quotes from Chad or Todd or whatever, and you guys get those. But I always see you and Joe and Sean and some of the interns chase some of those other stories, the breeder or the owner or, as you say, the rehab people, and that adds to a lot of the interesting stuff that you guys do with a paper that is completely Saratoga racing centric during the racing season. So again, pick it up or go online. And one of the things I also like about it, the handicapping page. Your man John Sharpazian, once again, I handicap every day either here or on my Equidaily website, and I'm sitting, I think, with just over 40 right now. He's got 49. I think he leads everybody. Most people are maybe high 30s as far as total winners handicapping, and he's just been phenomenal.
I'm in the high 30s, I think.
Yeah, you're right. You're sitting second or tied for second in your box in the Saratoga Special.
But so John is
unconscious.
A force. I run into people all the time at the track, and they always say the same. They ask me about my picks, and I'd prefer them to ask me about my writing, but that's okay. I get it. I've been doing it a long time. So, and I tell them, you need to follow the guy on the left. I mean, he's the best. I'm not going to sell myself short, but John is just a whiz. He's up there again, and I know that you keep track of the season end total every year, so I'm sure he's going to be at least in the hunt if he's not going to win it.
He's in a good spot right now, certainly.
The first day I was tied with him, I think, and then I was like, second day maybe still tied, and I thought, all right, this is it. This is going to be us this year, ding dong. And he just gets separation. All of a sudden I think one day I'll look down and I'll be like, oh, I had 4 winners today. Man, that's got to be good. I got to be catching up to Sharpazian. I'll look and he has 6, And he's done well this year. Like, I'll look down and there'll be a card where 0 favorites are winning, and then John will have 3 or 4. And I'm like, so it's not like he's just a chalk man.
He's definitely having a good.
And he's a great character. I think you've had him on before.
I have been. I'm trying to get him, and he's like, I don't know if I'm a TV person. I
he's
no,
great.
We'll get you got to get you over here.
Yeah, the Armenian ace,
I like that.
He's great, but I'm trying to slice into it now. I usually try to do really well. I always try to do really well all the time, but I have a lot of friends from my days in Kentucky, the guys, this people associated with the sales, that they come up here, and of course they give me the hardest time about things. So I'm like, I need to be doing at least okay when they get up here, or I'm never going to hear the end of it. And then I get to sales time, and just like, we're slammed. I'm covering the races, I'm covering the sales, and for some reason, I still do as much work on the handicapping as that, but I just don't do as well. So I think it's just I have other things in my mind. But now that it's over, it's time for the 3rd season. I like we have 3 seasons of the special. We have the very beginning, we have the sales time, then we have the end of the meet. So we're into it's not the end of the meet yet. We're not even halfway.
For you guys,
but
it's a different. I get the thinking totally.
We reached the top of the peak, and now we're gonna stay at the peak for a while before we can think about going downhill. But so much good racing still to come. It's crazy to think.
Absolutely. I mean, the Whitney and the Coaching Club American Oaks, Imperial Hint, all really good, nice highlights so far at the meet. But speaking of the handicapping, let's take a look at a couple today and get some of your opinions, because I've handicapped as well. Let's look at the 8th and the 9th. 8th is State Bred Allowance non-winners of 1 other than a mile and an 1/8. I went 1, 2, 5, and 3. I put JJ's Dreaming on top. Just looks logical off the buyers, and I'm a buyer guy. Speak looks like the logical second contender in there. I found New York Hero interesting in that it's a Lady Sheila horse who was moved out of the barn of Linda Rice and into the Jonathan Thomas barn, which I thought was
very
a little bit of a chin scratcher. So I had it 1, 2, 5, and 3.
That was an interesting move. I actually made a little check mark on my thing to kind of find out about the story there. If that horse were to run well, that's kind of a story that maybe the interns or one of us will be out there to ask about. Of course, Jonathan's a sharp guy. Linda's great as well, but maybe Sheila's looking to spread a little bit. But that horse could be okay, stretching out, for the first time. Mine Shaft, certainly pedigree fits. I went 2, 1, 5, so we're kind of settling on the same thing. I did go against the buyers. I like the stretch out here. I like the pedigree angle, the Pioneer of the Nile over the AP Indy mare. Todd is, of course, a homebred for Barry Schwartz. And horse really never run a bad race aside from the debut at Aqueduct, going 3 quarters. The races at a mile have all been pretty strong. But you're on the logical logical choice.
Yeah, I'm
JJ's
the
Dreaming,
truck
of course.
eating
Yeah.
weasel.
I like the name because there used to be a horse way back when named JJ's Dream that was really cool. Big old
Oh,
gray
right,
mare,
right.
ran him down in Oaklawn, and she was kind of fun. I remember she sold for a lot of money at the Keeneland sales way back when I first started working down at Thoroughbred Times back in the 90s. But she has no association, I don't think, with that. The pedigree, she doesn't trace any of that in pedigree. But so that caught my eye. But the 2 races at a mile also caught my eye, and the turning back to the 1.125 distance. He's run at those distances before, not with great success. But that was back in March at Aqueduct. A little bit different scenario here.
Looking for a modest upset with the Pletcher horse.
Yeah.
Quick Call is the feature today. $100,000 for 3-year-olds sprinting on the turf. Boy, I thought this was a competitive bunch. I went 7, 6, 10, and 1. I put Dirty on top for Jeremiah. Just comes in with some good form off the past couple of starts. Shang Royal is interesting to me. Was in an off-the-turf event last time. Does have an okay turf race back in February, but most of the races have been on the main track, including, again, that last one, claimed out of that one. I just thought Shang Royal at the 8-1 with Castellano on board was intriguing. So for me, 7, 6, 10, and 1.
Dirty is a cool horse. Jeremiah Englehart's been nice enough to be one of our Fasig-Tipton Stable Tour hosts the last several years. He's done it. I think he's done it every year we've done it. And we always like it when horses reappear. That's usually a good sign for the guys. And Dirty was in there last year. He was a horse he was really high on. Didn't make his debut until kind of towards the end, the last day, closing day, in fact. He seems to have found a home, sprinting, going short. And I think he's going to be tough with Jose Ortiz for sure. Man, I'm like Pletcher again in here. I went with Colton, Mississippi on the outside.
Yeah,
I like the cut back in distance. This is a horse that, was a pretty decent little prospect going longer on the dirt. Maybe they thought at one time maybe a Triple Crown type prospect. Got him going in the Sapling and the Jerome and things like races like that earlier this year. Has switched to the turf. I like the outside draw. I like Joel Rosario. Maybe a little bit of a price. I mean, I think probably he needs to be a little bit faster on the buyer end of things. And I also like the 2 and the 2 and the 1, Majestic Dunhill and World of Trouble. Of course, George Weaver won the stake on opening day. He's solid in races like this, I think. And this horse has had some really good races at the 5.5 on the grass. And World of Trouble, maybe I was thinking off the turf maybe in here. We've had so much off the turf
I put that
lately,
one underneath. That might be interesting even on the turf.
I think he's bred for it. Cantharos certainly can get grass, and Jason Service is so sharp. The 1 doesn't excite me too much, but this is a horse that has some natural speed on the dirt. Comes out of a really strong race. I think the Woody Stevens is going to be a good race to look at down the road, and he's always kept good company, and he could be tough.
Yeah, he's the interesting kind of wild card in there. Tom, as always, appreciate the visit. Again, Saratoga Special, highly recommended. Pick it up on track or around town, or check out thisishorseracing.com for the archives. I'm glad you mentioned the barn tour. That's a great addition as well. A trainer kind of goes down his shed row and introduces the horses, and you do a great write-up on those as well as part of the Saratoga Special. And so, as I say, appreciate the visit. Good luck going forward.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's good. Always good to be here.
Tom Law from the Saratoga Special. We'll take a break. When we come back, Penelope Miller from America's Best Racing. Stay tuned.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
You know and make better decisions, better choices, to know how to connect the dots. In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool, but not the only tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. These too are important tools, and you'll find them all right here at Capital OTB. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
The backstretch workers are the heart and soul of what we do.
They're the backbone of the industry.
People on the racetrack are very giving people.
It's a very impressive community of people helping one another. We see it all the time.
any help we need, it's right there in their hands.
It makes so much easier in the family to have somebody like Nathan to help them.
Looking for a fantastic meal? Stop by Malcolm's, a unique farm-to-table restaurant experience. Located at 617 Union Street in Schenectady, Malcolm's offers locally grown fresh foods, mouth-watering flavors, an enhanced drink menu, and terrific service. Malcolm's is a sure bet during Saratoga season. Make your reservation today.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning. I'm Seth Merrill. Thanks for joining us. We are, of course, live from the Saratoga backstretch where, again, beautiful day, kind of humid. I did not wear the jacket today. It seemed too humid for that. But the forecast is maybe a little iffy, but one of those where I think the potential is there that will wind up fine all day long. So let's keep our fingers crossed for that. Certainly right now, a very nice morning here on the Saratoga backstretch, and someone who has clearly taken advantage of it, as she does most mornings when she's up here in Saratoga. Penelope Miller, Senior Manager of Digital Media for America's Best Racing. Penelope, as always, welcome.
So great to be here again, and so great to be back at the spa. There's no place like it on earth. It's heaven, isn't it?
Absolutely. Your second trip of the meet, and I say it all the time, you have one of the best jobs in horse racing as you bounce around to a lot of the tracks for a lot of the big events. We cross paths occasionally now as we go out of town for some of those big events as well. We'll hit on some of those as we move along, but I wanted to talk a little bit because when I was preparing this morning to come in, I pulled up your Twitter feed. You and I were talking about it afterwards. One of your new favorites on the racetrack right here on the Saratoga backstretch, and I think we have a shot. Wonder Goodell with the tongue out.
She is such a wonderful character. I have been very lucky in that I was at Woodbine Mile weekend in 2017 when she won the Natalma Stakes, I believe. So impressive there, has made the switch to dirt and now hasn't lost a race since Mark Casse added blinkers to her equipment equation. And she is just, you know, I was talking to Mark's assistant Omar yesterday morning, and he was saying that she is Wonder Woman. They even have a nameplate on her halter that says Wonder Woman because she is kind and sweet and gentle in the stall, but when it's game time, she is tough as nails. And he said she even has the ability to go up in the air, so very much like her namesake.
But no invisible plane.
Well, we don't know. It's invisible.
Oh, it's invisible. You make a great point.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of the invisible plane. How would we know?
But if you do see her coasting around the infield at some point in the afternoon, then we'll know.
Give it that giveaway.
But how exciting that she's coming to face the boys here on Travers Day. I think
it's a great story.
It is, and she's got every shot in the world. I mean, she is a top 3-year-old, not just 3-year-old filly, but top 3-year-old racehorse right now in America.
And you were out to visit her, that was yesterday?
That was yesterday. It was such a fun morning.
And I know, not just here, but again at other venues, as we go out when we're at Woodbine or wherever we may be, we're kind of out in the mornings as well and crossing paths with you. You have your 2 cameras with you, and you're typically they're slung around your neck morning or afternoon, but there's a lot of work for you on the backstretch. You're going out catching wherever you are, some of the morning stuff.
Absolutely. Well, you know, backstretches, the morning is my favorite time no matter what. There's just something so magical about being out there with the horses training, and it could be 2018, it could be 1818. Like it's this amazingly consistent beauty throughout the years, which I love. But especially here at Saratoga, it's an incredible experience because you have nothing but Grade 1 winners. I mean, if you go to the track after the break when they've renovated the racetrack at about, 8:30, 8:45, when those horses come out, you just sit there and it's an embarrassment of riches. And of course, having fans be able to come out here too is really, really special because it's a part of the racing experience that people who don't work at the track don't often get to see. So I really like that about Saratoga.
Let's touch on, again, we do it whenever we have you, but I'd like to remind people just what the America's Best Racing website is all about. It's kind of, I when I describe it to people, I say kind of the marketing arm of the Jockey Club, for lack of a better explanation. But I'll let you talk about it a little bit and give your description, and also talk a little bit about, because we've had you on now for years with the America's Best Racing website, and it has clearly moved forward and become something much more involved in presenting the game to the fans.
Absolutely. Well, you know, one of the things that America's Best Racing was founded for was to bring people who might be extremely casual fans, might have, you know, watched the Kentucky Derby on TV, might have gone to their local racetrack once or twice. We're trying to help them understand what it is that makes the sport such a great option for, you know, every weekend, to get them to come back, you know, not just for those big races, but for those, you know, everyday experiences. But we do that by highlighting what happens on the big race days, because the big event strategy is what draws people in. And if they can get to know the people involved in the game, whether it's a groom or an owner or the horses themselves, the jockeys, those are the hooks. And, you know, maybe they're interested in, you know, having a cocktail and dressing up. That's a great way to get involved. But maybe they're interested in betting and they don't know how to make an exacta. We're here to help. So it's a little bit of everything for everyone, because there's really not a wrong way to like racing.
Yeah,
you just have to get to the racetrack. I mean, there's something here for everyone, whether you want to play beer pong in the backyard or you want to start like hitting pick sixes, which I need to learn how to do that.
I work on it, but I need to learn how to do that too.
I mean, like, it's hard.
Pick threes, pick fours, pick sixes, I kind of chase a little bit.
My daily double is really my wheelhouse.
Yeah, there you go. Those can be good though too.
They can.
Whenever you cash a ticket, that's a win.
Absolutely. But one other thing I would like to bring up is we have developed in the last year this really fun free-to-play game called Stay Lucky. And all you have to do is pick one winner every weekend for consecutive weekends, and you can win amazing prizes. And if you beat Zenyatta's streak and you win 20 races in a row, you get $1 million.
Oh.
And I am not able to play, so you need to do it for me.
Am I able?
You're able.
All right.
So,
I'm
you know, I'll just take a very small 40% cut.
That still leaves me with a pretty good piece. I'll be happy with that.
Or we could go buy a yearling.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, no, that is.
Or part of a yearling.
Yeah, well, from last night, yeah, we would have to aim for one of the other sales, I think. But again, I highly recommended America's Best Racing because, as I say, it has kind of morphed and become something even more than it was. There's handicapping information, as you say. There's fashion, there's videos, articles. But one of the things that is a regular, and as I say, best job in horse racing, you're at the big events, and you typically have nice photo galleries. I pulled up some shots from Haskell Day. I have some shots of the crowd at the Haskell.
Haskell was so much fun.
I also love the one guy you have leaning over the rail with his hands together in a little prayer mode. We've all been there.
I was about to say, is he not all of us?
We've all been there. But talk a little bit about Haskell Day.
Oh, it was just, you know, I have a big soft spot for Monmouth Park. I think it's one of the most fun summer tracks out there because it's all of this great racing with no pretension. You can have any kind of experience there at all. It's an incredibly young crowd there in the backyard, and good magic.
Yeah.
Wow, what a performance from him. I mean, that was just declarative. And, you know, it certainly sets him up to be the likely favorite for the Travers. But just seeing, you know, it was a win in your end, so now we know he's going to the Breeders' Cup Classic. And it's really great to see these horses as they're starting to mature into their, you know, into handicap horses, which they will be next year, to see who's going to be the emerging superstar.
Yeah, this is the time of year where they start to really mature, and you get into the fall and they start to face older horses, and really helps to define a 3-year-old class. He was very impressive, and again, it looked from your pictures like a great day down there. That's one track I've never been to. I got to get that. Yeah, really, it's right down there.
Oh my gosh, next year.
They have some nice handicapping contests regularly during the season too. I got to go on. Maybe
they do, and they have the sports betting now.
Yeah, that exactly right. We talked to one of the vice presidents probably 2 days afterward, and I said, "Well, give me an idea what's on the board down there exactly." And he went through kind of the menu, and I said, "Oh, well, I got to come down this afternoon."
Well, and I really like what they're doing. They had on Haskell Day a special pick 4, which was a pick 3 on the races, and they parlayed it into a baseball game.
Which is a great idea.
So cool. I love that.
I've said to people, I think sports betting is good because I think it has more chance of crossover than the slots players.
Absolutely, because the sports betting takes a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of, you know, you're not just pulling a handle and hoping. You have to have a little bit of, you know, intellect to play with it. And I think that the sports betting and the handicapping, as you say, has a pretty good chance of
at
crossover.
halftime or something, hey, why not go over and play a horse race while you're kind of sitting around? So again, I think it'll be a nice addition to the landscape as far as horse racing is concerned. All right, obviously, also you were up here at Whitney Day. You and I were talking about that, the quirky Whitney Day. I pulled up some shots there as well. If the guys pull up that first shot, that is a great shot you had with the little kid and Jockey Junior Alvarado.
Oh my gosh! I mean, if there's
the look on his face.
I remember being that little kid, though. I mean, I remember
which is the beauty of Saratoga.
It is. I mean, when you're that small, the jockeys are your heroes, because I was sure I was going to be this tiny person, like, you know, I was going to be small enough to be a professional race rider. Didn't work out, but I remember being able to walk up to the jockeys as they were on the path and get an autograph or get a pair of goggles, and it was just, it was like meeting Hercules. It was so cool. And to be able to show that to people who might not realize that that's an option, you know, racetracks are great for being an adult, but they're fantastic for little kids too, and it's great to be able to convey that.
This is funny. I had Joe Bravo in here the other day, and Joe Bravo said on his first trip up to Saratoga, you know, after having raced in New York at Belmont and Aqueduct and other tracks around the country, somebody explained to him the situation. He said, wait, I'm going to walk from the winner's circle through the crowd back to the, you know, after like a losing race, and then he realized, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
You know, the fans come out and they're happy and they want an autograph, and again, that's part of the
well, and they have the fuzz
Saratoga.
with them too, so
Yeah,
yeah, they're going to be all right.
Yeah, but that is part of the fun of Saratoga. Then we don't have the monitor, so I don't know if you'll remember this picture. I wanted you to take a look at it because it was a couple of horses walking on kind of a tree-lined path. I don't know if you.
Yes,
I
do.
Where
Those
that
were two
is.
Jimmy Jerkins trainees. It's over on Oklahoma.
Because it's gorgeous.
It's near where, this is going to be very intense horse racing talk, but it's very near where the Phipps barn is, or Shug McGahee's barn is.
I don't get over there, so that's probably why I didn't recognize
So there's
it.
a path that sort of leads all around the backside, and it's unbelievably beautiful. And
no, the picture's great.
It looks like you could be in Deauville, anywhere. You would never imagine that you're in the middle of a mid-sized town in upstate New York. It looks like you're in a park somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
It was gorgeous. Like I say, I wanted you to alert me because it was gorgeous.
I
wasn't
highly
familiar.
recommend the view.
Yeah, I'll have to walk over there. Then we had the picture of kind of the 180 degrees opposite of, you had a shot obviously from above of the horses on the horse path walking through the crowd, which again is part of the fun of it. They walk right through the backyard before every race, and I think a lot of people who haven't been to the track don't realize that happens and how close you can get.
I mean, you're about 3 or 4 feet away from the horses themselves, and they walk, as you can see in the picture, they walk past, the little shops that sell hats and photographs right through the crowd, and it is something very spectacular because normally at other racetracks, I mean, this is such an old school place. It's the oldest sporting venue in America. The horse paths haven't changed in 156 years.
Yep.
So it's special. It's like I said, it could be now or it could be 200 years ago, and no one would know the difference.
That's a fun picture, as well as the jockey picture, just to show the interaction fans can have up here that is different from other sports and even other racetracks as well. Also had a shot of a bunch of people in the paddock, just reflecting what a big day it was up here, Whitney Day, with the weather being great early and then quirky late. You and I were talking. Talk to the folks a little bit, because again, you're running around. You've got the cameras over your neck, and certainly pre-Whitney, we all thought, what a beautiful day this is.
Well, it was funny. I was telling you that I was in the paddock before the Whitney and then hustled to go out to the racetrack to get a shot of the contenders coming out with the huge grandstand behind them. It's one of my favorite photographs to take. And these huge drops started to fall from the sky, and I turned to another photographer because neither of us had covers for our cameras. I mean, we're fine getting wet, but the cameras don't like it very much. So we did the full sprint from the racetrack up to the press box and ran back to try to beat the horses coming out of the paddock, only to arrive back huffing, puffing, and ready for bed to find out there was a rain delay. So
45 minutes. And I can verify that sprint up to the press box will get you huffing and puffing.
I got my cardio done, yeah.
And I'm huffing and puffing. But again, those were a couple of features that you had. Whitney Day at Saratoga, Haskell Day down at Monmouth, and those kind of things happen all year long as you're shopping around to some of the bigger events. What else do you have planned for this year?
I am so excited. I'm going to Arlington Million for the first time in about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
It is such a beautiful racetrack. The Arlington Million, such an important historic race. I remember the first time I ever went to Arlington, they have a whole sort of museum-like display of the Miracle Million when, of course, the old grandstand burned down.
Yeah.
And I get goosebumps just talking about it. They got the race up and running regardless of this huge tragedy, and they ran the Miracle Million. And I remember the first time I watched that, I got teary when I saw all the, the effort. It's a racetrack that's full of heart, and it perseveres through thick and thin.
Yeah.
So to be able to be there on one of its biggest days is incredibly exciting.
Yeah, certainly rooting for Illinois racing, which is in one of those situations right now where we're kind of, pulling for them to come out of a little doldrum situation, which, again, with the landscape right now is certainly possible. But all eyes are focused on Arlington on Million Day regardless.
Absolutely, and they have the black type in their PPs when it comes to overcoming the odds. So
yeah, we're certainly rooting for them. Always these big venues that have been so important historically. Penelope, got to let you go, but certainly, again, tout people swing by America's Best Racing, the website, and we look for you on a return visit to Saratoga a little later in the season.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very, very much. It's always a joy to be here in the morning with you.
Penelope Miller, Senior Manager, Digital Media for America's Best Racing. We'll take a break. When we come back, our friend Pat Cummings is in the house, the head of the brand new organization. Should be a lot of fun. I think it's a great idea. Just was announced within the past couple of months, the Thoroughbred Idea Foundation. We'll learn more right after this. Stay tuned.
For 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 96-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients and served in a home-like setting, where everyone is welcome. Some things have changed in the last 96 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sign up today for Capital OTB's handicapping series and plan your trip to Las Vegas.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, the Capital Region's only destination for live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. And they're off. Horse betting is now at Rivers Casino and Resort with Capital off-track betting terminals and live tellers located just off the gaming floor at Van Slyck's. Get in on all the action at Rivers Casino and Resort.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Welcome back, Racing Across America, live from Saratoga. Joined now by Pat Cummings, Executive Director, Thoroughbred Idea Foundation. And a couple of months ago, I talked to Craig Bernick, one of the founders of this organization. A nice, certainly, board of directors with Paul Matisse, which I think bodes well for the bettors, and some other prominent names as well. But I wanted to get Pat on to give us a little update on where we stand right now. Pat, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to you about what I think is a great idea, the Thoroughbred Idea Foundation. But before we do that, let's just hit on a little bit of your background, because I want you to talk a little bit about Hong Kong. I have some shots of Hong Kong racing that I pulled up from the internet, and you spent a few years there. leading into this new job at the Thoroughbred Idea Foundation, but I think folks are always interested to hear about racing in the different venues around the world, particularly Hong Kong, where it is so incredibly popular. Talk about your experience over there.
Yeah, so I spent 3 years, 3 seasons between racing at Sha Tin and Happy Valley. They're two incredibly different locations, but the average crowd's about 25,000 per race day, and it is some of the most intense racing environs that you could possibly find. You know, it is part of the city culture. So racing in Hong Kong's been there since the 1840s. And up until the mid-1970s, racing was in Happy Valley exclusively. And the horses were stabled in basically a skyscraper in the city, a quarter mile from the race course. And they walked down the city streets to get to the race course. And then in the mid-70s, Sha Tin was built. And it was this dramatic change to the system, a new racetrack 20K away from Happy Valley. And now they've just opened a training center in mainland China that is 4 hours away, and it will allow an increase in the horse population. But when I say that horse racing is ingrained in the city, I mean, it is part of the culture. There is no other sporting venue. There's no baseball, football. There's no other professional outlet like racing. And it is part of the day-to-day life of the average Hong Kong resident. And it's a really intense, fun place to be. And I recommend anybody to go and experience it.
And relate to us a little bit, too, because the Hong Kong Jockey Club website, you know, with the Equidaily webpage for years, I've been linking to things about Hong Kong. The international races are so potent internationally. And so going to the website, I've realized it, but talking to people, our friend Keith McCalmont, who you've had over for the international races, and that whole team of social media people, we've talked to a few of those. And one of the things that stands out to me is, boy, they really play into the better over there with the information they give out. It's really far more comprehensive than we're able to get over here.
Lifetime past performances, daily track work information. Basically, if a horse appears on the track, it's noted. And I actually think there's ways that America could do that and become a little more friendly in that capacity, and it's something we'll try and do with our new group. Barrier trials, which are like practice races, gate works essentially, and all the video for those are made available. Video of track work is there every morning, so they put out as much information as they possibly can, and trust me, there's still plenty of touts and private services, and you can get that, but the club puts out all its past performances for free. I was working specifically on the media side of the business and interacting with, I mean, we had 200 accredited media for every race meeting. It was like every day was kind of like, you know, Belmont Stakes Day, and dealing with getting the information to all of them, and they just plug it in their papers, and you buy, on a race day in Hong Kong, there's 21 newspapers that carry the form. 20 of them are Chinese. It's really remarkable, and it's such an exciting place to be for racing. So I can't recommend it enough for anybody else to go.
I linked a lot and still do the South China Morning Post, I believe it is, and they have great racing coverage from over there. And just before we move off Hong Kong, relate to us a little bit, because again, I'm assuming with the Thoroughbred Idea Foundation, this will play into it. Social media. I talked a little bit about Keith and some of the other social media, and I know you were prominent in getting a lot of those people over for the Hong Kong international races over the last 2 or 3 years to kind of spread the word, and I think that was a great idea.
Well, look, racing has a powerful niche on social media that if there was a day and a time, say 20 years ago, where you simply couldn't engage and find like-minded people that wanted to talk about racing. It wasn't easy. Now it's easier than ever, and it has shrunk the world to an unbelievable standard, so that, you know, if you're here in the middle of the night, you can wake up and you flash up Twitter, and, you know, you've got all the stretch runs from Australia and Hong Kong, and I actually think America is missing the boat and not doing that more. You know, why would a racetrack not want to put up just the stretch runs of all their races? It seems a very simple thing to do, and to just engage people to say, hey, you know, this horse, you might have missed this race while you were out, or pay attention, the pick 4 is about to start, and here's how the day's gone so far. You know, there's a lot of things that can be done to make marginal improvements to the game, and that's, you know, I certainly had a lot of great experience in Hong Kong, and maybe we'll be able to take some things from there and bring them back home. But even at home, there are things that we're doing now that can probably just be done to a greater degree.
And I said to Craig when I had him on the phone, I think when we had him, you had just been announced as the executive director. And I said, great choice, because I know you are kind of an idea guy. I remember a couple of years ago standing up with you in the press box here at Saratoga, and you had a tablet with ideas on how the television presentation could easily be transformed into something that gave more information and more value to the bettors. So I know you're always thinking in that way anyway. But let's start out by just, what is the mission of this new group, the Thoroughbred Idea Foundation?
It is designed as an endeavor to exchange, curate, and advocate on ideas and concepts that will improve the financial prospects of the game for owners and bettors. The gambler, the owner are the two optional financial participants in this game. And if we are not taking every opportunity to improve the sport for our horse owning customers and our horse betting customers, then soon enough we won't have a sport. Okay. You will always have the very upper end of the market of people wanting to buy and own and race horses. They've been doing it for centuries. Okay, that's going to happen. But as a business, as a financial enterprise for everyone else, we need to be looking out for our customers as much as possible. And there was an interview with Duncan Taylor from TaylorMade Sales and Farm, and he said, and this is coming from a commercial breeder and sales preparer, saying straight up, the horse bettor must be esteemed if our business is to grow. And that is the only way our business will grow, if everything is focused on how we make that customer experience better. And so what we are trying to do is we're welcoming ideas from the public. We're going to curate our own ideas, work with the existing infrastructure that is out there. We're not trying to muscle out people who are already in positions. We want to work with them. We want to serve as racing's think tank. And that's the website, racingthinktank.com. It's very simple right now. We have a firm that's working on a more robust site that'll be up in a few weeks. But it's something unlike anything that racing has tried before. You know, there aren't a lot of racetracks in America that have a kind of strategic development team. I tend to think that most racetracks are focusing on their day-to-day operation and try to get as much out of that as they can. We're trying to come in on the other side of that and improve the sport as much as we can with racing's existing infrastructure.
Well, you've already hinted at it, but who can bring you ideas and how will they do that?
Well, look, go to the website right now and send them. We already have people that are submitting ideas and talking to us about apps they want to develop and things of that nature. And by all means, we're going to try and incubate some ideas, the ones that we find that are the most engaging. There is still, not all ideas are actionable or practical, but we're going to try and sift through them with our team. We have some great consultants on board who are working with us on various items and topics, the economics of the sport. So send them to us at racingthinktank.com, and we're going to respond to everybody that reaches out, and hopefully you will start to see some small changes. We want to get some small wins on the board first. Had some great talks with the folks at NYRA here last week about maybe some small changes that I think would please the bettors to an incredible degree. And that's the other thing, Seth. It's remarkable how some little small changes can go such a long way to make the experience a little bit better than it once was. And we've shared some of those with NYRA already, and I've got some really positive feedback, and I hope we'll see some of them soon.
Yeah, there are ideas that I've tossed out there for a while now that I think are easy and doable. I'd love to see the 50-cent pick 3 at all tracks. NYRA, are you listening? Because I use it as a backup. I'll play a pick 4, and if you get the $20 winner in the first leg, let me back up horses I didn't cover. For 50 cents, it becomes affordable, and I'll do it. They'll get more of my money if they do something like that, which is good for the sport. The Daily Racing Form, I'd love to see a notation if a horse was entered main track only. If it goes main track only, was that horse entered for that originally? I think those kind of things are doable, and those are the baby steps that can then lead you to addressing bigger, broader issues, like one that I know you talked about the other day at a conference here, the breakage issue, which I think is going to be a little more complex to get done, but we had Marshall Graham on with us the other day. And breakage right now in the 21st century is an anachronism.
Yeah, it simply doesn't make sense that it exists when the super majority of transactions are done either electronically or through vouchers. You simply should be giving money back to the bettors, because guess what? They're going to churn that money back through the windows. We've done the research. Marshall's been a big part of it, but our estimate is that there's roughly $50 million a year in breakage that is kept by not just the tracks, the ADW, everybody. States get it. Some research funds get money too. Like there is money that's going for legitimate purposes from that. But if that money goes back into the hands of the bettors, it helps the churn. That takeout cycle starts again and again and again. And our estimate is that breakage return to the bettors could yield roughly $200 million a year in annual handle. That'd be the single largest percentage increase in North American handle in the last 15 years. So those are, that's not a simple change, okay? That's a state-by-state change, but if one state were to fall, Retama Park started the Dime Super, okay? And everybody took a look at that and said, yeah, I want that too. And I'd like to think that's how the breakage change could go, and that's just one of the issues we're going to try and tackle, because it's something that's good for the bettors. And there's plenty of those that are out there, and I think that we're just getting started, truly. And I'm kind of on a fact-finding mission to see how things are in America right now, and you'll be hearing a lot more from us in the coming weeks.
I'm looking forward to it. When I heard about it, I thought it was a great idea. No pun intended. The Thoroughbred Idea Foundation. But again, the website is racingthinktank.com.
Yep.
So folks can visit that. That will be upgraded as we move up through the next couple of months. But again, I saw the board of directors and Justin Nixon's on there as well. But when I saw Paul Matisse, I thought, okay, the bettors are going to be plugged in the mix, because he has a lot of great ideas. Also, Craig Bernick with the original idea. Hats off to him. And as I said to him, I'll say to you again, I think he made a great choice, because I know you're a guy who's always thinking about ways to improve the game. So I wish you a lot of good luck going forward.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Seth.
Pat Cummings, the executive director of the brand new organization, Thoroughbred Idea Foundation. You are invited to the website, racingthinktank.com. Toss your ideas out there. Just get the discussion started, and that has to be a positive for the game. So swing by and visit the website. All right, we'll take a break. We will be joined momentarily by Teresa Gennaro. Again, as always on Wednesdays, the upcoming calendar of events right after this. Stay tuned.
Cheer on live racing from Woodbine and Mohawk Park. Thoroughbred and harness action. The wagers are just the beginning. Watch award-winning broadcasts covering both breeds, incredible battles contested over the most unique grass course in North America. Experience the full fields with over 130 Thoroughbred and 160 live harness days. Get access to free handicapping material and join the ranks of Woodbine and Mohawk Park players from all over the globe. For more information, visit woodbine.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
The backstretch workers are the heart and soul of what we do.
They're the backbone of the industry.
People on the racetrack are very giving people.
It's a very oppressive community of people helping one another. We see it all the time.
Any help we need, it's right there in their hands.
It makes so much easier in the family to have somebody like Nathan to help them.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Welcome back. Racing Across America on a Wednesday. That means a visit from our friend Teresa Gennaro from the Brooklyn Backstretch blog and beyond. Talk a little bit about the events coming up this week. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy to have you on board. Saw you last night at the sales. A couple nights at the sales. You were covering for the Blood Horse?
I was covering for the Blood Horse. Basically, I was grabbing quotes for them that they could put in their stories from buyers and consigners.
Knocked it out of the park, right?
It was, everybody was very, very happy. I think they set a record for the total sales. I think it was pretty exciting with a bunch of $1 million horses, including another $1 million New York bred.
Yeah, another which went to Baffert, but also had to toss in, talked about it when we had Tom Law, and our friends at West Point had the sales topper.
Yeah.
Which Terry Finley said to me afterwards. He said, I made a couple of phone calls. It was kind of a last-minute thing. And if those people didn't pick up their phone, maybe we wouldn't have been in. But they jumped in.
And, and sort of the leader on that was Rob Masiello, who was on the show earlier this year. Yeah.
Chris Larson and Sienna Farm also in there. $1.3 million for the West Point runner. Sales topper. So again, congratulations and good luck to them going forward. It'll be fun to watch that one when it makes it to the racetrack. All right, let's hit on some of the action coming up. Today we kick off. It's Italian American Day, and that means some Italian food. I'm gonna have to walk out there. It's the Saratoga Pavilion, which is that tent out behind the grandstand, but some Italian food and also some dancing and an aria.
Exactly. So you got a little opera. Hopefully you have a little meatballs. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I'm pretty excited about
I'm not Italian, but I'm biased too.
Yeah.
Also want to mention that Wednesday is Community Outreach Booth Day, which is that
they have it every day.
Every day.
Yep.
But Wednesday is our friends at the TRF, so swing by the Outreach Booth, which is over by the paddock, right?
It's right behind. It's right next to the Jockey Silks room.
Oh yeah.
So sort of So kind of. It's not near the paddock, but it's sort of behind the administration building and
the little building there, the Red Jacket.
The Walk of Fame.
Walk of Fame.
Yeah, it's right across from there. And every day they have a local nonprofit in there, and people can stop by and learn about whatever the nonprofit is, or donate a few dollars, or buy some merchandise to support the cause. And as you said today, it's Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. And tomorrow night, as I wrote on Brooklyn Backstretch, if the Saratoga meet has you on edge, TRF has the answer, and they'll be offering meditation with their horses on tomorrow night at their farm here just outside Saratoga. So there's a suggested donation of $20, and sounds dreamy.
Penelope was out here saying, geez, I'm stressed out. And I said, it's more anxiety with me. So I think maybe I do have to go out and hang with the horses. They're very therapeutic.
They really are. Do a little meditation with the horses. Fix you right up.
So that's your Wednesday. Thursday, big day. Fabulous Phillies Day, which is a nice event that they do here annually. The Pink Hat Luncheon also gets thrown in. And people are encouraged to wear pink tomorrow to the racetrack as well.
Yeah, it's all about support or raising awareness of and money for breast cancer. And this is done in conjunction with the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. There'll be a speaker, Dr. Larry Norton, who's a world-renowned expert from Memorial Sloan Kettering on breast cancer. He's been the medical director of the BCRF. And I was asked, as someone who was treated for breast cancer last year, to take over the BCRF Instagram tomorrow. And so there'll be various pictures and comments from me about what last year was like for me. So if you're interested in seeing me without hair, you can check the BCRF Cure on Instagram.
Does it have the purple hair? Was it purple or pink?
It was pink. Yeah, I tried that last year for this luncheon. Maybe I should try that again. See if it works better this year. But there's a lovely luncheon over there today, and
it'll work last year.
The tickets are $200, and the proceeds from all ticket sales go to the BCRF. And it's a great lunch. Lots of champagne and people dressed up, and full disclosure, Nyra has asked me to be their guest, and I really appreciate their support and how kind they were to me last year when I was sick.
Yeah, and as I say, it's an important issue and certainly worth support. You're asked to wear pink in recognition of the day as well, so take advantage of that. Thursday night every week means our friend Andy Serling and his radio show down at the Parting Glass. Always a lot of fun.
Yep, and I just got a text from Andy that the guests tomorrow night are Michael Blowen, who is the founder of Old Friends, Jonathan Thomas, trainer of Catholic Boy, who's had some pretty impressive wins, including a big sprint race at Belmont last month, and Jeff Canizzo, who's the executive director of New York Thoroughbred Breeders, and I imagine on the heels of that $1 million New York bred and the New York bred sales coming up this weekend, he'll have a lot of interesting things to say.
Yeah, hopefully we don't use them all up, though, because we're going to have Jeff on this week.
Yes, Jeff's going to be here tomorrow.
Yep, and looking forward to that with, as you say, the really great stretch of about a week, less than a week for New York breds.
Yeah.
All right, that's Thursday. Coming up on Friday, I do want to mention the Saratoga Challenge, which happens both Friday and Saturday. 2 big handicapping contests over on the front side. Saratoga Challenge on Friday is a $1,000 buy-in. On Saturday, it's $2,000. It's 2 separate contests, same formats, but different price entry points. But I mention it because you have to register by today. If you go to NYRA.com/challenge, you can find an entry form. But the entries close at 5 o'clock today, I believe, for both contests. So make sure you go to the website if you're interested in participating. I participated a couple of years ago and sat in the top 10 virtually all afternoon, and it was the last race, or the last race, where I got knocked down to like 14. Oof. Still, it's one of those where you keep all the money. It's a live money contest, so I still had a great day and made money, but it would have been a lot more.
Playing for pride too.
It was a little bit frustrating,
and that
fun.
link is on Brooklyn Backstretch too.
Oh,
if people don't remember what you just said, you can go to brooklynbackstretch.com and it's there.
But again, you have to register by 5 o'clock today for those contests. There's a Friday contest and a Saturday contest right here at the racetrack. Also on Friday, this sounded interesting, paint and sip.
Paint and sip. Yeah, painting and drinking at the racetrack.
And that was pretty much the way you had it presented.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's a $75 ticket. It gets you, I think it's lunch, all of your art materials.
Good paintings, right? A lot of Picasso.
You let your imagination run freely with some wine. Sounds perfect. And it's in the air-conditioned suites at the top of the stretch.
It does sound like fun.
If art and wine or art or wine are your thing, this sounds like something that'd be fun to check out.
Art or wine.
Right.
So if you're just into wine, but you want to have an easel in front of you, it could be a very, very interesting. I want to see some of this art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they'll have an Instagram account for that.
It's one of a number of sort of cool new things that they're trying up here this year.
It sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And I think they do it downtown
on
a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, and they did it. I think at least one at Belmont as well.
Last race showcase. We mentioned that last week. It happens Fridays and Saturdays throughout the meet. And the nice thing about it is it takes place in the stretch, which is that new area in the grandstand, the nice upgraded area there. If you haven't had a chance to go visit, Friday and Saturdays after the races, they're there for about an hour with the DJ, and you can kind of enjoy that venue.
Yeah, and you can get in without a cover charge for that time. But there are betting windows there as well. There's a bar, there's food. So, and you should be able to catch at least the last race from there, I would think, since it begins at 6:30.
Oh,
and then you can stay around and bet other racetracks.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Saturday, there's one of the weekly NYRA seminars, which happens kind of up near the stretch. There's a little area right in front of it. But our friend Pete Fornatel will host Angel Cordero, Jake Bayless, and Jonathan Kinchin, a potent tournament player. Will be doing a little handicapping on that seminar Saturday. So that's highly recommended. Saturday morning that takes place. Is that 11 o'clock? I don't have the time written down. But I believe it's at 11 because I thought it happened after.
Yes, 11 o'clock.
So keep that in mind for Saturday, the handicapping seminar. Saturday and Sunday night, we do want to tout the New York Bred Sale.
Yeah. So graduate of this New York Bred Sale are Funny Side, winner of the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, Audible, winner of the Florida Derby this year, third in the Kentucky Derby, Mind Your Biscuits, two-time winner of the Dubai Golden Shaheen in Dubai and the richest New York bred ever, and Diversify, who won the Whitney last weekend and is a two-time Grade 1 winner, had the Jockey Club Gold Cup last September. So their slogan is get with the program, and the horses are often a little less expensive. And Ralph Evans bought Diversify through a dispersal for $210,000. That was more than he had been purchased for over here, and now he's made $2 million.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, and sort of Mind Your Biscuits, similar story. So
give
it a shot.
If you didn't get over to the sale last night and Monday night, the New York Bread Sale, similar situation, same venue, the Fasig-Tipton Pavilion down East Avenue, about a block and a half from the track. It'll happen Saturday and Sunday evening. A lot of fun. The backyard's fun to hang out. And it's become kind of more popular. Mondays and Tuesday, the open select sale has always been popular, but the New York Bread Sale has become popular too over the past few years. So fun and nice addition to your racing day if you're coming up here for that. That's Saturday. Sunday, low roller contest Sunday and Monday. Again, highly recommended. $40 to jump in, 10 in the prize pool. You play with 30 throughout the day. Keep the money that you win, but if you manage to get up in the top 5, you get a nice little chunk of the prize pool as well. You have to think a little bit differently. The entry booth is down in the carousel area down on the bottom floor, so highly recommended. Sundays and Mondays throughout the meet, the low roller contest, but also Sunday, as you mentioned, some fun things happening, including the paint and sip. Sarah Yoga on Sunday.
Sarah
Just like
Yoga. Yeah, and it's $40. You get a yoga session. You get either a Bloody Mary or a mimosa. Everything includes drinking. Again, increases your flexibility almost certainly. Brunch, and I believe a program. You can rent a mat if you don't have your own for $5. And there'll be another one the following weekend as well. I believe this one's going to take place in the festival tent right up against the paddock. And I do need to check the time on that. The initial announcement didn't have the time in it, but I'll check. But I'm pretty sure it's in the morning,
Yeah, it's a
before
morning thing.
before racing starts.
Yeah, maybe I'll do a little. Go meditate with the horses tomorrow and a little little yoga
Saratoga,
on Sunday.
We're very good at feeding our bodies in this place. Maybe it's time to feed our souls a
There
little.
you go. Oh, the mimosa is going to help out too. And finally, I just wanted to let you touch on a little bit, because this is fun over at the Racing Museum. They have these photo finish tours with some of the racing photographers. And these days, everybody is a photographer, and if you want some tips on how to make the most out of it, these tours are great. But also, when we had Brian Bouye here, he mentioned the jury selection process that will lead to an exhibition late this year and next year, and that's also worth keeping it in touch with if you are a photographer.
Yeah, the exhibition, which will open in January, is open to both professional and amateur photographers. The two people who are leading this week's photo finish tours in the morning of the Oklahoma track are Todd Marks, who's the photographer for the Saratoga Special, and Donna McAdams, who's just an incredible artist of just way beyond horse racing, has worked with backstretch workers and teaching them photography. You do have to make a reservation for these, so make sure you call the museum. I think they start at 7 o'clock, so you get some gorgeous morning light here. And then if you like what you produce, then you can enter it to be selected for the exhibition in January.
What's the drink that goes with that? There are no drinks. Just go out and take your pictures.
Maybe BYOB.
Yeah, there's not a drink. There's not literally
There are
a
no
drink
drinks
with
for that,
everything.
no.
Just the paint and sip
seems
and
that way.
and the yoga.
Yeah.
Which makes those events extra special. But it is a fun week. You and I were talking lots of fun things coming up. Did we mention the Old Friends event at the Washington? That's tonight.
We did not. Yeah, that's tonight.
Because that's tonight, and our friend Michael Bowen certainly want to tout that. The Washington Inn tonight, the Old Friends annual event.
Yeah, and there's an author who will be signing her book. That it's paintings, and it portrays many of the residents of Old Friends. The event is free and open to the public.
Very good. And again, the Washington Inn tonight, Old Friends, a great organization. See if we can get Michael in at some point. If he's not heading, he's usually here for a couple of weeks, though. So we'll see if we can get him in to talk a little Old Friends. All right. Thanks for the update. Brooklyn Backstretch, should we be checking anything else out? Again, you covered the sale for the Blood Horse.
Covered the sale for the Blood Horse, so there's a lot of coverage in there. Also an article posted at the Blood Horse today. I attended the immigration panel at the Albany Law School conference on racing and gaming yesterday. Really, really interesting. Some immigration attorneys talking about the challenges that people in a variety of industries
Sure.
are facing because of the reduction in visas under the current administration, and how hard it is to find people to work to take care of the horses. So that's up. And yesterday in the Saratogian, my column was about Melissa Cohen, who's Rick Violet's assistant, and much more than that. Just a really incredible person. And she talked to me about what it was like to be walking Diversify for 45 minutes in the paddock during the rain delay. And she's really incredible. She was the winner, I believe, of the inaugural Darley Stable Staff Award.
Oh.
Yeah, so she's wonderful. She's impressive and so smart and so great to be around. So
Yet another featured guest.
yeah,
So
tomorrow. She's coming on tomorrow.
You have that to look forward to here as
Yeah.
well. But check out the article via the Saratoga Special website, Saratogian website. The Blood Horse website also has the articles, and Brooklyn Backstretch as well, which has the calendar, more complete calendar. Teresa, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we'll wrap things up. We are way beyond, but with the special edition streaming only, as it were, or you can catch us via YouTube on the replay. Hey, what the heck? We threw the clock out the window. I'm not even wearing the jacket. So, but we're going to wrap things up for this Wednesday edition of Racing Across America live from the Saratoga Backstretch. Tomorrow morning, hopefully we're back in the game plan with our regular situation, and that means tune in at 9 o'clock for the Handicappers Report, 10 o'clock for Racing Across America. We'll see you then.
You've been watching Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America has been brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border. And the new Capital OTB mobile app. Wager anytime, anywhere. Download it free from the iTunes Store or Google Play.